but we'll consider Linux privilege escalation as well at the go. Before I begin, I want you to give some real life ideas how things work, what we're going to do, and then we'll come back to the Windows privilege escalation. We'll compare it with the Linux privilege escalation, and then we'll try to find some similarities and differentiations between them. Okay, cool. So let me start with the ping command. Everyone, how do you use the ping command? Can anyone tell me what is the best use of ping command? Okay, ping IP. So can I ping URLs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now my question is, uh, can I know someone's operating system just by pinging them? Can I know anyone's sorry, operating system just by pinging them? Yes, how? So many people are saying yes, how? Nobody came up with this answer like any day when I was talking about ping and everything. No? Okay, let me show you something. When I do ping google.com, can you see what is the TTL value here?
Yeah,
It is 116.
116.
Okay, let me ping meta.com this time. Okay, what is TTL value here?
55.
Let me try something else. Ping microsoft.com. I guess they're not responding to my ping request. Okay. Yes, that's what I'm going to talk about now. Don't worry. Okay, let's ping someone else. Let's say try hack me. I don't know if they're going to respond back. Yeah. So there is some TTL value of 56, correct? And let me change it to coding to the, let's say. Can you see the TTL value now? Why is this TTL value changing every time? TTL stands for time to live. But now things are a little changed. These TTL values, they now help you to identify the operating system of the individuals. Can anyone tell me how? Can you tell me how? Exactly. Different operating systems have different TTL values. If I mention some of them here, let me put the text right so that I could share it to you later on. Okay. See, whenever you get, let's just write the operating system. So we'll be writing like this: operating system first, then we'll be writing its respective TTL value. Okay. And we'll be talking about what are the TCP window size that they support. Anyone know what is Windows TCP size? What is TCP window size? Any idea? No? Okay. The packet you send to any of the operating system, there is a limitation of size that only this much size will be accepted by them. If you send any packet bigger than them, they will discard it. Okay. They're not going to respond you back. You can do that by, let me show you here. Ping-h. So there is a size of, sorry, there's an option of increasing and reducing size. Can you see this? So you can use these sizes to increase the packet size or reduce the packet size. Now let's talk about which operating system has which TTL value. For example, if I say Linux, but I'm talking this time about the Linux with kernel, which was old, the 2.4 or 2.6, if I talk about them. So their TTL value, it is somewhere 64. And if we talk about the package of the TCP window size that they have, that is 5480. No, it's 5840, something like that. Okay. Just verify this table once. You can find it on the net. Okay. I'm just covering what I remember well. One thing you need to understand here is being a cybersecurity engineer or cybersecurity expert. One thing that is expected from you right away is that you are going to change the default response from any of the operating system. Does that make sense? Let me show you some example here. Cool. I've started two different machines. One is the Windows machine and the other one is a Kali machine. I'll ping them and we'll see the response back from them. Okay. Till then, let's continue with the other options. Then we have Google X, which was developed by Google. If we see its what is the operating system for that, like what is the TTL value for that? Again, it is 64. But their packet size differ from the normal Linux machine, and that is they reduce the size. That is 5720. So why did they reduce the size? So that non-staged payload cannot work in their Linux machine. So that reduces the amount of payloads that is possible or feasible. Okay. How many of you know about FreeBSD and OpenBSD? Any idea what is FreeBSD and OpenBSD? No? Just Google it, okay? You guys will need it. I'll talk about only 8 operating systems, so don't worry, don't panic. We're not going to take it or stretch it very long. What this FreeBSD had, it increased the size of the TCP window with a huge amount. And you would be literally shocked to know that amount that was 65535. That is the total amount of ports that you have, isn't it? Can you see the drastic improvement in that? That was done in order to share big files easily, in order to make communication easier among different platforms. That was the main reason for it. Then coming back to the next one, that is the OpenBSD. Again, in OpenBSD, since it was open source, they had some mentality to secure the operating system as well. Hence, they reduced it, but they don't want to take away the uh, power or the reason why it was created. So they made it to 16,384. Okay. After that came Windows 95. How many of you remember Windows 95? Anyone here used Windows 95? No one? Okay. Fahad used it. Okay. You know, TTL value only. Right now it has been deprecated. I have used it actually. No, so since the packet size was deprecated, sorry, the TTL value was deprecated, that is how we were easily able to understand. But they gave the TCP that was 8192, I believe, something like that. You can check it. Okay. Finally came Windows 2000. I know it can get a little boring for some of you, but try to stick along. It will all make sense later on. Okay. Then came Windows 2000. In Windows 2000, they wanted to make it differentiated from the existing ones. The differentiation that they made was they created it to be 128 this time. Why they choose 128 is pretty simple. See, 32 was there, 16 was not feasible because in that particular duration, the packet will already be like timed out. So there was no option for 16. Hence, they increased it to 128 in order to make it more available. Okay. Since it is Windows, you can expect to be more helpful. Hence, they kept the 16384 from the OpenBSD. Okay. Now coming to the ones which you might have used, that is Windows XP. How many of you know Windows XP? Ever used it? Ever used Windows XP? Anyone? How many of you know that FBI still uses Windows XP? Do you know that? FBI uses it. Okay. You can Google it, you will find it out. It has the most number of customization available, and No, you cannot hack them now. They are like a lot secure. Trust me, they're a lot secure. Windows XP had a lot of customization options available, and a lot of users have moved to the newer version of Windows. Hence, this XP is just kind of raw image. After that, they have upgraded it on their own. They have made changes in it. They have modified it, customized it as per their requirement. Okay, but their base OS is Windows XP in most of the devices. I read it somewhere. You can check on the Google. You might find something related to it. Sure, Abdul. Yep. Weird, but maybe a little helpful. I don't know. So what was the biggest advantage for this one is they again increased the size to I think 65535 for the TCP window. So due to that, it was very much helpful for all the evidence keeping, evidence transfer, quick transfers, all these things. It was very much helpful and handy. Okay. Then came the Windows that you guys are using, like Windows 98. I'll write it as Windows 98. Okay, Win 98 or Vista 7. How many of you use Vista or Windows 7 or Windows Server 2008, something like that? Any one of you use that? Great. So can anyone tell me what was the TTL value for that? I don't know anyone of you ever checked it or not. No? Let me tell you, 128. Now, can you observe one thing from all these things throughout? Did you observe something? Exactly, 128. Thanks, Lloyd. Thank you, man. You're here. I'm glad that you're here. Cool. Then I'll talk about some other operating systems and then we'll come back here and understand why that 128 observation was very much important. Okay. What is the reference for teaching all these to you today? So if we talk about iOS 12.4, which is also available in Cisco routers. I don't know if you have heard about Cisco routers or not, but it is available in Cisco routers. And it gives 225. It was given for a reason for the routers to make it easy to understand and completely differentiated from other operating systems. Since they don't need a lot of packet size, it was reduced to 4128 again. Okay. Then we have Solaris. I don't know if you have heard about Solaris. Seventh, I think, is the one we use the most. So let me take the 7 as an example. I remember for that only. It used to give 255. I know it's hard to remember all these things. Take a screenshot of it once I'm done with it so that you keep it somewhere safe. Okay. I think it was 8760 somewhere. And the last one was AIX 4.3, uh, which had around 64. Again, the question is, why did I cover all these things when it was not even necessary? It is necessary for today's lab since some of the machines, they do not disclose what is the operating system. You cannot find it by fingerprints or something like that, or your nmap scan. If you're not able to find that, but you're targeting it in order to exploit it, the best thing that you can do is you can do ping scan, and you can find it by this. Can you see that only Windows based machine they had 128? None other machine had 128. Since Windows 95 had 32, you can identify by 32 as well that is Windows 95. But trust me, it has been completely deprecated and you will not find it anywhere. Hence, you have to rely on the ping scan result that is 128. Does that make sense, everyone? Cool. Let me show you something now. Uh, IF config. Sorry, IP config. It's Windows machine. Can you see my IP? Sorry, OpenTap VPN. Let me disconnect the VPN first. Cool. Let me run the IP config again. Can you see my, why it is giving this one? Let's see Ethernet. Yeah, 192.168.57.5, correct? Let's try to ping it. Someone remember it, okay? I don't remember it. Ping 192.168.57.5. I don't know if they are talking to each other right now. I haven't checked the configuration of that. So they might not be talking to each other. Yeah, they're not talking to each other right now. Let me just do one thing. Most of the machines of mine might not be talking to each other because of the firewall. Let me configure them back and then we can check it. Cool. Since it is starting, let me show you for the Kali machine. Kali is a Debian Linux-based machine, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, let's see for this one. Let me just try one thing before we begin. Sudo nlcli. If your Kali machine doesn't works with the network that you are in, most of the time it is because of the networking of the Kali machine. So always do one thing before you start working on it. Turn off and turn on your networking. It will give you a fresh IP and a fresh connection with your host operating system. Okay. Let me show you my IP here and let's try to ping it. Let's try to ping this IP. Okay. So ping 10.0.2.15. Ping 10.0.2.15. Let's see if they're talking to each other. I don't even know. Yes, Abdel, it is possible. That is what I'm talking about in today's concept. Na? Today we'll be learning on like what can help you to hack into someone's system if you're not in the same network. Okay. Most probably they're not in the same network right now. Okay. Most probably these Kali machine and my Windows machine, all my machines are not in the same network. But it is a good practical that you can try. Okay. In your virtual machine, set up some operating system of different types and try this. And without even seeing them, just randomize the IPs, and without even seeing them, just find their operating system by their TTL values. Okay. Once you do that, you'll have a pretty good idea how to find operating systems without even like doing the active scan on the target, without even doing anything to them. Okay. If someone misses this table, you can find it on the Google. Just search it by the ping TTL value response for operating system, and you might get it. Okay. If anyone wants to take a screenshot, you can take a screenshot right now because I'm going to close it. Yes, you can. I'll talk about that. You remember I had your IP on the day one. Even I never recognized Lloyd. Like it's just a passive memory of mine. I remember only these much. I used to remember more. Okay. You remember Eptel on the day one? I shared you some link of something. You went to it, and I had your whole device configuration information with your public IP. I think it was Eptel's question. Yes. So those are the different ways in which you can target individuals for your attacks. Okay. Now let me come back to the privilege escalation. This was just a quite information for you to understand how you're going to exploit a target. If it is a Linux based, your approach will be a Linux based for exploitation. If it is a Windows based, your approach would be a Windows based exploitation. Okay. Once you're done with the exploitation, next comes in the privilege escalation. Correct. Yesterday, Mr. Abdullah gave pretty much clear and very nice demonstration of what different types of privilege escalation is, why you do that, what happens when you do privilege escalation. So I'm not going to talk about very much in depth about that. Rather, I'll talk about the steps that you're going to follow. Before that, let me ask you one small question. What are the two types of privilege escalation? Can anyone tell me? There are two types of privilege escalation. I'm not talking about Linux and Windows. It is in general.
Horizontal and
Exactly. Exactly. Nice. Horizontal and vertical. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between them with an example?
For
Or
horizontal, if you, for example, from two different department, from finance and IT, you can go between them. And the vertical, you go from regular user to root or administration.
you are somewhere correct, but in different department, the permissions can differ, correct? If you're transferring from HR department to IT, you might get some more privileges, correct?
Yes.
So that cannot be considered in the horizontal way. But it was a good attempt, Mishari. I think it was Mishari or Nawaf. Who was that?
Well,
Nawaf. Yep. Cool, Nawaf. Thanks a lot. Okay, when I say horizontal, that means user will change. Okay, user changes, but privileges do not, or permissions do not, in easy terms. Permissions do not. It might open a new way for me to escalate my privilege, but it is not going to give me more permissions. Okay. For example, let's say there are two students in here right now. Okay. And I somehow was able to get into one of these students' account. And from that account, I was able to get into the other student account. Is it a horizontal privilege escalation or a vertical privilege escalation? Anyone? From one student account to other student account, it is horizontal or vertical? Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. So student to student is horizontal. But if I say from student to teacher's account, what is that?
Vertical.
Exactly. Correct. User and permission both changes. Okay. That is the main idea of horizontal vertical approaches. Most of us, when we're targeting for privilege escalation, we do a mistake in this step. We always are so much indulged in doing the vertical privilege escalation that we skip the horizontal part. Maybe in some devices, let's say we have three different users. Let's say we have Ragad. That's a very common name here. So I'll take Ragad. Nawaf was answering right now. So let's take Nawaf and Khalid. Okay. So we have three different users in a machine. Okay. Let's say Nawaf was the one which was in the group of admin. Okay. But it was a normal user just like others. But he was the part of the sudoers. Now, being a normal attacker, what you guys mess up here is, for example, you are able to hack into Ragad's account. Okay. Somehow you get access of the Ragad account. What you try to do, you directly try to escalate yourself to the root user or the sudo user. Is it possible? Sometimes it is not possible. There is no connection between the current user and the root user. There is no connection between them. You cannot directly escalate it. In this, you will have to find a way from Ragad to Nawaf, and then you can go from Nawaf to the sudo or the root. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Now, one quick question. What is the difference between a root account and a sudoers account or sudoers list? Anyone? What is the difference between these two? No, they're not the same. That's what I said. No, like you guys miss the concept here. Okay, let me tell you something. Sudo may limited. Sudoers have more permission. Okay. You already know about the normal user, correct? They don't have sudo permission. They cannot do sudo. They cannot run commands as sudo hyphen something, 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 correct? That's the limitation of the normal user. They don't have permission to a lot of things. Coming on the root and sudoers list, root is someone who can do anything, literally anything. You cannot even think about what is the power of root. Okay. No foundations, no limitations. But in sudoers, there are limitations. Okay, there are limitations. What do I mean by limitations? For example, some files, they can be made by the root user. Sudoers cannot access it. Trust me, sudoers cannot access the files which is created by root, and they create a block on that for any other user. Sudoers cannot access it. You can access it via the root only. That is the power of root. Okay. Sudoers, they are like a step between root and a normal user. Okay, that a connection between a normal and a root user. Does that make sense, everyone? Do not get confused with sudoers account with the root account. Never do that. In any Linux machine, when you do root, one thing you need to remember from here, in Linux, whenever you go to the main or the root user, the name is root, correct?
Okay.
And when we say in Windows machine, what is the name? Anyone?
Domain.
What is the name for the root user?
Domain.
Domain? No. No.
Admin.
No. No. Come on, guys. Yes, correct, Mohammed Al Rashid and Khalid. You are clear. Okay. That is anti-authority system. Something written like this. Anti-authority system. That is the root user. Always remember these two names when you are doing the privilege escalation. In Windows, you have to become the anti-authority system. That means now you can do whatever you wish to. In Linux, if you get the root, you can do whatever you wish to. A quick question, what is for Mac? Anyone, what is a super user for Mac? Again, those who have Mac, do not go to your terminal and type sudo root, something like that. Okay, sudo yeah, that will give you the answer. I know. I'm talking about without Googling or without doing that. Yes, Fahad, correct. That is the root again. Same. Why root? Can anyone tell me why Mac has root?
Because it's Unix based.
In Linux and Mac,
Unix,
both are
Unix.
developed from Unix. Come on, Derek, don't do that. Exactly, they are developed from the Unix. Okay. Glad to hear that you all know that. Keep these things in mind. Okay, whatever we talked about here, the steps that you have to perform. You have to do the proper enumeration when you are into a machine, and then you have to check whether I'm currently in this list. Can you escalate yourself to the sudo or the root permission or not? Can you become a root user or not? Once you do that, never again mobile systems, Nawaf, they are made. I think my connection was lost. Okay. See, Android is also developed from the Linux, correct? So if it has been taken from the Linux, you can expect what it to be. Okay, the root again. Now, one thing you all need to understand here is if you miss any of this step in your enumeration, then you're going to mess up very badly. You will lose the, what do we say, the possibility of escalation if you miss any of the thing here. Does that make sense? Now let's talk more in depth about
Yes.
tools and tricks that you're going to do the escalation of the privilege. Come on, Derek, you're not shy. Come on, you sang in front of everyone. You sang Baby Shark. You all know, I don't know about cohort A or C, do they know about it or not, but cohort B has heard Derek sang a song. Come on, Derek. Tell them. See, Wisdom, thanks a lot. Cool. Let's come back to the topic now. We'll be doing now proper escalation. Cohort A has a good opportunity now. You can ask Derek to sing in front of you in the front of whole class. You see, that's a good option for you. Okay, let's come back to it. One thing you need to pay focus here. I'll give all these things to you, so don't think about copy pasting it, writing it somewhere. I'll copy and paste it in the chat, or I'll ask someone to put in the Discord. Okay, so you'll have this file. Don't worry about writing things. Most welcome, Abir. So don't worry about writing things, just pay focus on what we are learning here. One type of exploit that is very, very, very common in any of the machine, whether it is a Linux, whether it is a Windows. All right, we are going to talk about Windows privilege escalation. So for me, I write PRIV, ESC for privilege escalation. And on the right-hand side, we'll be talking about Linux privilege escalation. What is your task here, guys, is to understand the difference between them and the similarities between them, and to map with what you did yesterday. The first thing that I'm going to talk about here is the kernel exploit. I know Mr. Abdullah covered it very well. So can anyone tell me what is the kernel exploit? Anyone, what is a kernel exploit? No one remembers? Okay, I want you all to do one thing. Let me write down some example and go on, hit Google for that. Okay, search for MS16 MS17, I think. It for Eternal Blue was MS17, I remember. MS17. I don't remember the final part of that. Okay. Try to Google about these things. Go on. MS17 Eternal Blue, something like that. Google it. Search and tell me what it was. Exactly. Exploit the version of the kernel. Thank you, Rawan. These are some vulnerabilities that were available in Windows. Similarly, you can find in the Linux. There were some in the Linux as well. If you hit Google for the Linux exploits, you will find it there. So don't worry about the answers for them exactly, but you can find it. For example, C20208835. That is one of the for the Linux kernel exploit. I don't expect am I audible now?
Yes, hacker.
Yes, Mr. Sun.
Welcome back.
Okay. Thanks a lot. I'm sorry. I lost my connection. You see, I'm not using my Wi-Fi today. I'm using the mobile data. That's why. Okay. Thanks a lot. Okay. So what I said is I don't expect you to remember the names. Yes, correct, Rawan. Thanks a lot. MS17010. What I want is I don't want you to remember the names of these exploits. Okay. It is not possible for anyone to remember the name of the kernel exploits. I completely agree with that. But it is very much easy for you to hit Google and find the no Abdel. It is, I have remembered it because I have to use it frequently. That's the only reason. Okay. When you will use it, you will remember it as well. So, but what I expect from you is you are good at Googling the kernel exploits. Okay. What I mean by Googling kernel exploits, all I can do is, let's say I want to search for some exploit of the Linux machine, Linux kernel exploits. Okay. When I write that, I can get a huge list of it. Can you see a bunch of it? But the best thing is finding the correct source. Among those correct source, the best one is CVE details or the exploit DB. Prefer exploit DB or CV details because exploit DB will give you the exploitation for that. Okay. Can you see here is the script to exploit it? So that is what I meant by you not being that is what I meant by you not being good at your memorization skill of remembering all the exploitations and everything for the uh, what do we say, kernels, rather than being good at googling. Okay, googling is the best skill that you can have in cybersecurity. You can confirm it with your instructors. Okay. Yes, Rawan. That's a good one. Okay. Huh. Once you know about this one, then the second thing is uh, common kernel exploits. Okay. That is again the part of this one only. So I'm not going to talk about very much in depth about it. But you can remember that there are some kernels which used to store in the normal format in the clear text of the passwords or the escalation things that you can use it. I'm just that is just a general thing that might not be available everywhere. So I'm not going to pen down it here. Rather than I can just tell you verbally. Okay. The second thing that is available is maybe some users what they do is they have password manager or a file where they store it, correct? And same thing goes for the Linux one as well, correct? Yes or no? If somehow I am able to get it, yes. If somehow I'm able to get access to the password manager or the password file, it would be very easy for me to get the password to escalate my privilege. That's easy. Or maybe in the mail, people share the ID and password in the mail. So that's completely fine up to here. Next thing is services. Now, when I say services, this is the place from where the difference starts coming now. Okay. What do I mean by differences start coming now? Let me show you right away. For example, I was able to hack into one of the machines of the Linux. The first thing that I will do is I'll run the command psaux if I'm not able to escalate my privilege by any other means. There are other means as well. I'm not going to talk about that right now. Okay. This command is also helpful in order to stay persistent. What is the meaning of persistent, anyone? What is the persistence? For example, this is the attacker. And again, my typical drawings. This is the victim. Okay. For example, attacker somehow was able to attack exactly Khalid, maintaining the connection. Somehow attacker was able to get access to the victim machine. But let's say soon victim machine turned off his PC. What will happen when the victim will turn it on? The connection would be broken, correct? And attacker will not get a shell back or something like that. But do you remember I covered beef one day? I don't know if you remember it or not. Beef accesses. And that I showed you that I closed the browser, session was gone. I opened the browser, session was back. Remember, yes or no? Do you remember it? I don't think. Let me show you something. Again, whatever I'm going to cover today, it is only for the educational purposes. Do not mess around with these things. Okay. Does that make sense, everyone? Come on, Mr. Brown. I know you will not mess around. Tell the recording is on and the chat is in front of screen. We all can see it in the recording. We have evidence. Cool. You can share it over the Lord to the Lord. I hope Lord is not here right now. I think Lord won't mind it. Lord, are you there? See, he's not here. You can try it on him. Good. The ID and password, I don't think he is watching right now. The username is beef and the password is Phoebe. Okay. For the beef accesses. Cool. Let me log in again. Beef, save. Okay. Once I'm into the browser, let me show you something. What I'll do, I'll simply take one of the simple hook. Okay. This is the hook page. Let me take it and yeah, everything's fine. No, this is not the hook page. So, hook me. Let me click on the hook me. And once I click on hook me, it is going to take me to a page. Okay. And that page is simply taking you to here. Let me show you the beef page exact. Yeah, here it is. Once I open it, can you see it is right now in online browsers? Again, I am using in my currently in the same Kali machine. That is why it is writing 127.0.0.1. I don't know if anyone of you remember on the day which I covered this one publicly. Do you remember this one? Anyone? No one remembers? Okay, thanks Nawaf for that. Okay. So what can happen here is, for example, I could use ifconfig. I can take this IP, I can share it with the victim. I can tell them, hey man, please open this IP with port 3000 on the end. And this link in the end. That's it. Once they open it, I'll have a persistent connection back to them. Even if I close it, but if let's say the victim is throughout internet anywhere and I'm publicly available, I shared it with my public IP. It doesn't matter where are you right now, I can get access to your browser. Does that make sense, everyone? So just for the trial purpose, you can ask your brother, you can ask your sister, you can take the other laptop that you have at home. You can ask Mr. Derek's IP, okay? Or you can share your public IP with the link to him. You can try that. He will accept it, I am sure. Once you share it to him, you will have access to his browser, okay? Now, once you have access to his browser, there are a lot of commands that you can perform, okay? What you can perform is going to zombies, selecting the target. Once you select the target, you have different types of command that you can execute. I'm not going to tell you those commands. Just think on it. Mine, Abdel, do you need my IP? You can take it, I'll give it. See. Let me give you my public IP. See, here it is. Take it. Okay. See, I gave you my public IP. Let's see what you can do from it. Cool. I never checked that. So just try to open this link, this IP with port 3000 and see if you could see something. I never tried that, to be honest. So if you want, you can try it. Sure, man, you can try it, okay? Just put colon 3000 at the end and the link that is coming from here. So once you open it, the IP, put these things at the end. That's it, okay? Cool. Do not try DDoS attack right now on me because I'm performing the session. It is going to hinder the session. That's why I do not perform the DDoS, LYC or HYC attacks. Cool. Thanks, Abdel. Okay. Once you are done till this point, I hope you understand what is the concept of being persistent and non-persistent, correct? In order to be persistent, how it happens is once you run ps aux command, sorry, let me open it at the full. PS aux command, when you run it, there is the PID and the user ID for that, correct? Who is the user? What is the PID? Now, if I am a root user, I can change my permissions or I can migrate to the other root type of service. But there can be some services which are acting as different user. For example, message plus, RTKit, color ID, beef accesses. So there can be services which are by other users, correct? Now, when you're doing that, you need to understand one simple concept that if I am RTKit, I can migrate to something that belongs to RTKit only, correct? For example, if I have access to my home, I can go anywhere in my home, but the same is not for your house. I cannot come into your house without your permission. I cannot roam around in your house without your permission. Does that make sense, everyone? The same concept is applied here also. If I am in a service that has been started by the Kali user, I cannot escalate or I cannot migrate to the service that has been started by the root user. That is a concept that you need to understand. Same thing if you go on in the Windows one. Let it open. Why Windows is always slow? Let it take its time. I don't know how much time it is going to take. Cool. CMD. It's still booting up. Yeah, it's in the VM and I've given only 2 gigs of or 4 gigs of RAM. I don't remember it. So it might take a little time. Forgive this PC. Come on, CMD is for searching. Why, man? Okay. What I'll do here in the CMD is we'll see how we can try to list all the services that I have. Okay. Do you think PS aux is going to work here? No. Correct? The command differs. How many of you have heard about netsh in Windows? No one? Netstat? No one? Thanks, Abdul. So your task today is to check on the netstat command and netsh command. That is not your assignment kind of thing. It is a task for you that will help you understand more about the working of the machines. Okay. So when I say netstat-r, it gives me recursive information. This is the network destination and this is the gateway. Coming on the above, the IP route table, interfaces list, everything comes in the netstat. Okay. The same thing I can do for WMIC services. I think get something like that. So it will give me all these services. WMIC is the one which is responsible for getting these services. Services or service, I don't remember it well. Okay. Just check on the commands and you can find it. Once you do that, yeah, here it is. See, there are different services running on my Windows machine right now, isn't it? Some are running, some are stopped. When I say that, I know it's pretty much messy here. You cannot understand things here, but you need to understand one thing. The same concept applies here also. You can escalate your privilege. Kind of, you can say that. Windows Manager, something like that. Okay, for the task. Now, when I say that, again, you have to understand the same concept here also, that you can escalate your permissions or privileges to the same user level. Does that make sense, everyone? Don't worry, I'll boot these machines up again because we'll be talking much more in depth. Now, when I mention services, there are two concepts within the services though. What do I mean by services concept? I'll write it in the middle. The first concept is the service might be vulnerable itself, correct? Might be vulnerable itself. What do I mean by vulnerable itself? It has some new version of it and haven't installed it. That can have some vulnerability into it. For example, old version of Apache, old version of uh, Burp Suite, or maybe an old version of any of the tools or any of the services that can give you access to my root user. Maybe HTML, oh, what is it, HTTP or the Python, any of them can help you get the privileges. The second thing is migration to be persistent. These are the two concepts that you're going to use in terms of privilege escalation. Does that make sense, everyone? Now, for those who wonder where I'm going to get all these commands, you have to just write the same keyword on the internet and you're going to get the commands. Okay. In Meterpreter, it is like the easiest thing that you can think about Meterpreter. You have to just type migrate and the PID of the process, and you'll be migrated to that process. That is how easy it is in the Meterpreter. But in normal way, manual attacks, it would be quite different. Okay. Cool. Then comes in the misconfiguration. Again, that is same in both the operating system, correct? Misconfigurations. Now, the term is same, misconfiguration in both of them, but the concept may differ a little. When I say misconfigurations, in Windows, misconfiguration can be based on the group policies. Okay. But the thing is, there's no such thing as group policies in Linux, correct? Yes or no? Do we have group policies in Windows? Sorry, in Linux? Can anyone tell me, do we have group policies in Linux?
Have roles.
Can you come again? Sorry.
We have roles. We can make a
Exactly.
permission. Yeah.
Roles, or you kind of have what we have in Windows as well. That is ACLs, correct? Access control list, in order to give extra privilege or reduce the
Yes,
privilege.
right.
Get faculty, set faculty, remember? But what we have in common for both of them, the user-based misconfigurations. For example, by mistake, I added some user to the root sudoers file. That can be a vulnerability, correct? So that is a user-based. Then we have a file-based. What do I mean by file-based? Is very much simple. For example, there is a Python script that can be running. And by mistake, what I did was I made that Python file to be executable by everyone, correct? You might have done that kind of room yesterday in the hacked lab. Or maybe day before that, someday when you were doing the try hack me. Do you remember it? Some Python script where you change something and then you got it. You remember I talked about rootme.org in cohort B? They should remember it. Rootme.org, where we renamed ls to cat. Do you remember that? Thank you, Mishari. Let me show others the same thing. Rootme.org. Okay, rootme.org for cohort A and C, those who don't know about it. It is one of the best website that you can do for the live pen testing and learning of the pen testing skills. Why I'm saying that is, here you can, what happened? There is one error in the entry. Okay. Mostly I don't remember my name, so I don't remember my passwords. That might be the case. Okay. Which one it was? Anyone remember? I don't remember it. Let me check. Give me a second, guys. Let me search it. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So let's take example of this one. Okay. This is a common code of a file that is available in the target machine. Okay. I'll start the challenge. It is written in, I think, Spanish or something. I'll start the challenge. I'll get into the machine of them. You can see there is the ch11 executable available here. And this is the code within that. This is the code of it. One thing you need to observe here is there is one misconfiguration that is available here is they haven't given the full path of ls, correct? They have just written ls. So from where does the ls gets its path? Anyone? from where ls will be informed that where ls is kept. If I do ls, how PC knows that it is doing ls? No one knows. There are environment variables. One of them is path. Okay. And in the path, it is the different location stored everywhere. So the ls is available. Let me show you here. Which ls? ls is in bin, correct? And if you see the path variable, there is a bin path available already here. That is how ls is found. Okay. If I execute something that is not in any of these paths, it is not going to be executed. Now, this is very easy vulnerability. In order to exploit that, what I did, I simply copied bin and cat, because my task was to see the what is in the past WD file. That is the whole task. Okay. So what I did was very easy. I just do bin, I copied the bin cat in the temporary folder. Temporary folder has access to most of the, what do we say? Most of the users to create or to make something there. So I renamed it as ls. Okay. Sorry, not 2 times, just 1 time. I made it ls. Now the cat is available in the TMP as ls. Let me show that to you. Touch ab.txt. I think I cannot make something here. But let's say what it will do if I run tmp ls, it is going to list the directory. Let me show you here, tmp ls. Let it run and it will list the content of the directory. Sorry, it is not going to list the content of the directory. Rather, it is going to read the content of a file, correct? Sorry, because right now it is by the name of cat. For those who got confused because of my a little misspellings here, let me clear it to you. What I did, I copied the cat command. Okay, I copied the cat command in the TMP folder. I renamed it ls. Okay, now when I'm going to run this ls, what is going to be ran? The cat command is going to be ran, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Great, thanks a lot. Now what I will do is I'll do a little change here. In the path variable, I'll export the path variable again, but this time I'll add TMP at the first. That means there would be entire path variable. I'm not removing any of the existing path variable. It just I'm adding a new path variable, that is TMP in the start. And now when I'm going to execute ch11, it gives me the content of the password file. Why it has given me the content of the password file? Again, for those who are solving these, at the end, there's a space, which is also part of the password. Now, when I say why it worked the cat, not the ls, because it took the first path. Let me show you what is the content in the path variable. Echo $path. See, it goes for the TMP first, and in the TMP, it found ls. And it used that ls, sorry, ls, and that ls is responding to the cat, correct? Yes or no? Let me, I don't know, let me explain it like this here. Okay. Let me grab my mouse. Where is it? I was using my touchpad. Just give me a second, guys. Let me plug in my mouse. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. What I did was this ls, what it used to do, it used to go to the path variable and ask for the path. And the path variable, path, the path variable, it used to tell him that you have to go to the /bin directory, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
But what I did, I created a separate ls. This time I did it within the TMP folder. And what I did, I simply added this TMP as a path, but before all the variables, before all the answers. So when it asked ls with the path variable, the first path that it got was TMP. Within the TMP, it took the ls. But what actually this ls has was the content of bin cat. Does that make sense, everyone? Now that is one of the privilege escalation. Okay, this is a part of the privilege escalation. That is how you do the privilege escalation. Maybe what would be the case that in this block, rather than writing this, it would have been written like sudo, and then let's say su to get the root user permission. And this program can be executed by, let's say, root users only. Okay, by the root users. Then I could find a way around that in which I could make this sudo somewhere else, or maybe su something else, or maybe playing around with the file permission. And then I could execute that file to run this command. Does that make sense, everyone, now? This is one kind of privilege escalation. This website will give you good ideas about the privilege escalation because it mainly talks about the root me part, how you're going to root yourself. Okay. Does that make sense, everyone? Wait, let me close all these things. Okay. If this much is clear, then we can proceed with the next concepts. Again, there are no limitations of misconfiguration. People can misconfigure to the whole other level that even I cannot imagine. Now, there is one vulnerability that is not available in Windows, but it is available in Windows, the SAM file dumping attack. Heard about it? No. We use Mimikatz for that. Nobody remembers? That's sad. So in Windows, there is a SAM file, system administrator, something like that, system access management or something like that. That file has all the passwords of your Windows users. And if someone can find that file, they can easily find the password because those passwords are stored in NTLM, which is a weak hash. Okay, which is a weak hashing mechanism. You can crack NTLM. Okay. Now the thing is, for all those who are in the Linux one, in Linux, the password is stored in a completely different way. Sometimes it is stored in the fish, something like, I forget the name, the fish something. So it is stored in that format, and which is very much hard to crack. So in that way, Linux is a little secure than the Windows one. Does that make sense? Everyone till this point? Oh, you guys are super good. You catch up real quick. Okay. Can anyone think about any other way to do the privilege escalation? Okay. Tell me, Gazwa, if you can think about. No one? That's sad. Now there is a thing available for one specifically, that is GTFO BIMs. Heard about it? Anyone heard about GTFO BIMs?
Yes.
What it is? This GTFO BIMs is a website which gives you easiest way to escalate your privilege if there is any again lost connection. Can you hear me well?
Not well. Not clear.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now well? Let me check my connection, just give me a second. Am I audible?
Yes.
Sorry for losing connection. Maybe Abdel, someone could be trying to do some attack on me right now. Do you think I should change my IP now? I think I should change it. You all know a lot about hacking now. Okay, let's come back. Okay, GTA for builds is very easy. When I have to do the privilege escalation in Linux, the first command that I run is sudo -l. Do anyone know about this command? Sudo -l. How many of you use it as your first command in Linux machine? Anyone uses it as the first command in any Linux machine? One. That's sad. I use this command as the first. Sorry for my voice. Okay. This is the first command that I use as the access to any Linux machine. When I have access, I use this command as the first command. What it does, it lists all the files, all the binaries. What is binary, anyone? What is binaries? Names keep popping up. Files, binaries. What is binaries, anyone? Binaries are the installed tools and commands that you have that are stored in the /bin directory or sbin directory, correct?
Yes.
Yes or no? Great. So it shows all these files. Yes. So it shows all these files and it tell you that if you are this user, for example, if you're the current user, you can run these files as a super user or a sudoer, correct? Yes or no? So make sure you never forget about the sudo -l command. Always run it at the first command in your escalation part. Why I'm not able to go to that file? Let me stop my screen share and share it again. Cool. I hope you can see my screen now. Okay, so the first command that you have to run. Am I audible, everyone?
Not clear your voice.
I think Zoom is crashing a little. Let me know if I'm clear now.
Yes, now clear.
Thank you, Vijay. Okay, so the first command that you run is sudo -l. Always do that, okay? Once you run that command and you find any of the binary vulnerable, just copy that name of the binary and come to this particular website and paste that binary name. For example, let's say I got cat as the sudo. What I'll do, I'll open it and I have to just run these two commands, or I could run these three commands, and I will be able to make myself as a super user. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That is how easy it is. Can you imagine, like, from a normal user to the root user, just by one misconfiguration? If any of the binary is misconfigured, don't think about anything else. Just copy that name of the binary, paste it here, and boom, you are the root user. Okay. Great. I know it's taking a lot of time. What is your lunch time, anyone? How much time do we have before lunch? Just let me know in the chat. No, how much time do we have left? 2, that means around 19 minutes, correct? Yeah, 19 or 20 minutes. Thank you. 50. Come on, Gozlan. Wanna get free early? Okay. Now you know, people always think that there are less way in Windows than in Linux to do the privilege escalation, but the reality is vice versa. Now let me show you the sixth one, that is cron. How many of you have heard about cron jobs or cron tasks? These are the in a machine, correct? Good. So these are the one which are also responsible for giving the root access or the super user access into a machine. If let's say a file is running on a cron, let's say it is running after every 30 minutes or after 15 minutes, or let's say every day, what you do, what you do, you make changes in that file. You just add one line sudo su and let it be running. Okay. After 15 minutes, it will execute sudo su and give you the super user permission. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Now, for
that's
those who think that Windows do not, great. For those who think that Windows do not have any sixth kind of way, there are. Like you have done, there is a sixth kind of way. What is the sixth kind of way? Changing the path again here, but this time what we do is we replace it with something like, let's say, CMD. Okay. How many of you know that there was a vulnerability of shift sticky keys? You press 5 times shift key and it will open the sticky keys, correct? Yes or no? In Windows, you can try it if you have Windows right now. Just press shift key 5 times and tell me what you got. What did you get, anyone?
um like window for sticky keys.
Exactly. Sticky keys by Windows, correct? Now, you know, there was a vulnerability. I think it's still there. When you lock your account, you give password to unlock it, correct? Yes or no? You unlock to correct it. Now, let me tell you one thing. You can hack into any Windows machine with this particular vulnerability, and it is still there. Okay. I'll drop the link. Oh, I am not going to give you anything. Don't see my screen. Abir is recording everything. Okay. I told you nothing. You cannot hack into anything. There is no way that you
You
can
told
hack into it.
all the things, Soumy.
Come on, Abir. You should not do that. Now you should stop before when I start
Ah.
delivering something cheesy.
You think so?
So if I've Yeah, you should. No, I've already messed up, so I'm going to cover it anyways. Not
No, I'm
everything is the
not.
recording.
I will never do that.
Okay. Okay. So guys, what you do is you configure for example, you get access to someone's Windows machine for 5 minutes, okay, before they log out or before they lock it. Do one thing. Do what? Replace the sticky key application with the CMD. That's it. Just do that much. And get away from there. Just get away. Don't do anything else. Okay. Once they log there, yeah, only for educational purpose. Do not mess around it. Whatever I'm delivering here is only for educational purpose. Whatever you do is done by yourself. Okay. Okay. So once you do that and you come, they logged it and they went away. You press 5 times shift key on the lock screen only. Okay. Or you click on the recover option and see, boom, you have the terminal as a administrator, and you can just write net user, your account name, the username of that account, and new password, whatever you want as the new password. No verification needed, nothing. Can you imagine it, how easy it is to hack into a Windows machine? For that particular reason, some of the administrators, they disable the what do we say? They disable sticky keys in their machine because they don't want themselves to be easily hacked. Does that make sense, everyone, now? Great. There are many more ways, but we are running short on time. So I'll stop it here. I know I've talked about a lot of stuff for today to grab it all. So I'll write it as replacement of common tools, something like that. Okay. In bracket, I'll write st key so that you remember it. Okay. Do anyone has any question till this point? There are many more ways, but we are running short on time. For example, in Linux, there is one more way where you can find uh, different files which can help you leverage your permission. That is the find command itself. You do that by find slash. To find it from directory, you put a slash here that you want to scan the entire system for it. And then you give -u equals to s. That means your current user is having the uh, permission to run the file as a super user, and you divert to in the dev null. I don't know how many of you remember it, but I talked about dev null one day. Whatever you put in the null file, it is gone forever. So that is what you are doing here. You are redirecting all the errors to the null file so that it is not there anymore. And it will list all the other files which you can use to leverage yourself. Okay. Now find command has a lot more other ways to do it, which I won't be able to cover it today, but I'll request you to keep an eye on the try hack me, and there you can find a lot of more things regarding it. Now for today's assignment, what you have to do is simply you have to solve this room. That's it. Again, there's 18 tasks. There are different ways to escalate your privilege, which you'll be learning in this particular room. Does it make sense? Your main task is not this one. Your main assignment is not this. This is something that I want you to do. Your today's main thing is to go on the stack schedule. And in today's Windows privilege escalation, there is a machine setup. You already did the Jenkins part, you remember? You tried to hack into the Jenkins. There you have to do
Yes.
the privilege escalation. There you have to do the privilege escalation. That's it. Again, the privilege escalation will be in either way, which I have talked about, or it will be available in this particular machine. A lot of things you will not find here, which I've talked about. So don't worry about it. You can reach out to me anytime if you want to ask any question or any doubt. I'm not going to talk about this room because it already has all the things written. So I'm not going to do that. But if anyone has any doubt or any question in order how to connect to the try hack me, in order to how to work with the try hack me, something like that, you can ask me right now, right away. For those who are clear with all these things, feel free to drop out and have your kabza in your lunch.
Wait, what's the main task for the lab today?
The main task is, let it open. Stack schedule. Just allow it a second. Your last week, it's going to be super amazing week. So make sure you keep eye there. The cybersecurity specialist weeks are amazing. Yeah, here it is. Windows privilege escalation. Okay. This is your main task for today. Let me put that in the chat. All you have to do is in the same file where you did the part one of exploiting with the Jenkins, here you're going to use the juicy potato script in order to escalate your privilege to the root user. And then in the part two, you will be uh, copying the batch file to the window victim machine, and you will start the netcat listener, which will give you reverse shellback with the help of juicy potato to get the root user or the anti-authority system as you're hacking into a Windows machine. Okay. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yeah, got it. Thank you so much.
It is like you have already done till this point. You know how to exploit the Jenkins on port 8484 by Jenkins script. Okay. Okay. One more thing. I haven't talked about those things, but I want you to know about it. So just give me 1 more minute. I'll take 1 more minute to talk about those things. So seventh in the Windows is WinPs and LinPs. How many of you have heard about WinPs and LinPs? Heard about it, anyone? I I hope cohort A might have heard about it.
Yes, yes.
I think I saw Lloyd one day covering it. I saw his text on the Discord about WinPs and LinPs. So this WinPs and LinPs, they are amazing ways to escalate your privilege. You have to just run this script and it will tell you various ways to do the privilege escalation. But always keep it for the last resort. For example, you are not able to do anything. Now you give up that, man, now there's no way that I could do anything here. Then download WinPs and run it. Download LinPs and run it. Okay. Or if you're doing the pen test for a company, then you have to do WinPs and LinPs. The same goes with the, I don't remember, Linus for the Linux, and what was the name? I forgot for the Windows one. So these are the automated scanners, which can help you in terms of securing, not in terms of exploiting. Okay. Any question, anyone? Derek, I have a small request. Can you take a screenshot of these things and put it over the chat on the Discord? Just let me know when to scroll down. Should I scroll down now? I don't want to lose these things. I'll share some of the reference links from where you can learn a little more in-depth things. But again, these things are most important for you right now to know about it. Cool. So that's all, guys. Go have your kabza and your lunch. If anyone has any question, I'm still here for 7 more minutes, 6 more minutes at least. If you have any question, I would be glad to hear that. And in the afternoon session, all you have to do is you have to solve this try hack me room and the task on the portal. That's it. Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Nothing
Soumy.
else. Most welcome. I'll drop the link again. Prefer to solve the assignment on the portal first and then do the try hacking, because that portal thing is more important for you right now. Again, these are the group assignments, so prefer to do it in groups. Okay. All you have to submit is just a screenshot of that, how you did exploitation. For the portals, you'll have to make the report. Gozan, both are not mandatory. Today, try hack me. Try hack me is optional, and the portal one is mandatory. Sure, Abdul, I'll try my best to join you. Abid, you can stop the recording.
Okay. I won't ask you.